In August, members of the Green Party of England and Wales will vote on a number of available positions within the party, including a new leadership team. I sat down recently with Antoinette Fernandez to chat about her campaign for the deputy leadership position. This was our conversation. Hello again. So we are joined by Antoinette Fernandez, who is, of course, one of the prospective candidates for the upcoming deputy leadership race for the Green Party. Antoinette, how are you today? You well?
Hello, I'm very well, thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you for having me
It's
as
all right.
well.
Thank you so much for coming. We appreciate it. It's just really nice that we've been able to get all nine deputy leadership candidates together to have a chat with, find out a bit more about you, and to give our wonderful community, which is a fantastic community, the Turn Left community, actually.
God, I hope so.
Yeah, no, they're brilliant. But yeah, we're looking forward to giving them an opportunity to see what you're all about. So,
Cool.
what I've sort of been doing with everyone, we'll just start off with tell us a bit about yourself. You know, away from the Green Party, what do you like to do?
What do I like to do? I do a lot of volunteering and I have been hanging out with the WI, with my
Okay.
local WI party group recently as well, which is quite fun, and making jams and sad, nerdy things like that. But I'm obviously, I'm a filmmaker in hiatus, so I love films. I read a lot. I am a sci-fi and fantasy nerd. Can't see my fingers. And lots of sci-fi fantasy books. A lot of reading. A lot of walking, nature. Love that. Got the marshes nearby. Lots
Oh,
of
brilliant.
walking, reading, film, art, music. Love live gigs. Bit of a music nerd as well. Used to be in a band,
Oh, yeah?
actually. I just posted about it on Instagram. I was in a conceptual art band with my ex, which is not a good idea. And I just posted a photograph from a gig that we did at the Tate Modern, No Soul for Sale, which was the 10-year anniversary. And
Oh,
it's kind
nice.
of,
And what were you? Were
yeah.
you playing an instrument? Were you singing?
No, I was singing, and the song I loved the most was called Argos. And I literally just said Argos over and over and over
Now, is that
again.
Argos the god, or is that Argos the retail store?
It's Argos the store.
Argos. I
Yeah.
used to work for Argos,
Yeah, my
so
ex wrote that, and it
I
was
uh,
that was
I'm
the store. Yeah.
I'm intrigued. I'll have to look into that. I've noticed a lot of candidates in this election are creatives. They come from creative backgrounds.
Mm.
Do you think there's a connection between sort of politics or left-wing politics and creativity?
Absolutely. I think for two reasons. One, that it's so hard to be successful in the creative industry. And so I think that frustration breeds a desire to change our environment and our society, because I think also a lot of creative people, I know personally, I've always felt at odds with society, that it
Mhm.
wasn't a place that I fitted into. And I think a lot of creators have that feeling. And of course, if you are the kind of person that wants to elicit change in any way, then you are going to be drawn to politics. And I think also then just the very nature of being creative, the stuff that you do. I mean, I write, so I've written a novel and I'm
Yeah.
writing scripts and everything, and I'm a big sci-fi nerd. And I think that creatives, we create the worlds that we live in, right? We influence the world that we live in. Cloning, computers, all these things were written about before they existed.
Mhm.
We help humanity to evolve. So again, that fits into, I think, politics and wanting to push new ideas, push boundaries, restructure the world, and make it a nicer, better place for the people who are considered to be misfits.
Yeah. No, I think
Yeah.
that's a fair answer. Like I say, there definitely seems to be a link. Either that, or we're just lucky to have a lot of creatives in the Green Party. But I think your answer probably makes a bit more sense.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So, cards on the table. I am a member of the Green Party. I've not yet decided how I'm going to vote in the deputy leadership elections, though. So, just to sort of kick us off,
Pressure.
why should I vote for you?
Oh Lord. You should absolutely vote for me or consider voting for me, because I think, and this ties into the reasons why I've chosen to stand. I think I want to make sure that people have the option to vote for a black woman and have the option to vote have different women to vote for. Um, Politics is misogynistic. Unfortunately, I've begun to realise that some of that has seeped into our party also. And I think that there are obviously not enough women in leadership positions.
Hmm.
There are no black women in leadership positions on GPEX in our party, because
Yeah.
obviously we have got, a black chair and a black spokesperson, but we don't have anyone in GPEX. I think that's really important. And I hope that I am coming across as competent enough to be able to be a valid option for people, because we do definitely need to have more diversity in our leadership, um, sex and race.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And
gender
obviously,
and race.
you talk of race. You were the first ever black female Green Party candidate in the history of Hackney North and Stoke Newington. You're the only black candidate in the deputy leadership contest, and if elected, and I'm not mistaken, you would be the first black deputy leader of any major political party in Britain. Obviously, the Women's Equality Party have had a black leader, and obviously Kemi Badenoch's leader of the Conservative Party. But for that deputy role, you would be the first one. Why do you think it is in 2025 that politics seems to still be very white?
Because we have institutional racism in this country. We do. And there has been very effective propaganda inflicted on the population for hundreds of years, establishing this myth that black people, in particular people of African descent, are inferior, right? So it takes a lot for people to fight that internal programming to truly be actively anti-racist in everything they do. And I think that even people who are not racist can still have some of that, conditioning affect the way in which they perceive people, especially black women. And this idea, I had it in the film industry as well, this idea that black women cannot do certain jobs, that we cannot be trusted to do certain jobs. And also that we are held to much higher standards, a lot more scrutiny, which can put black women off from putting themselves forward in the first place. I've had a number of
Mhm.
black women say, "You're crazy doing this," because they are going to come for you. People are, I'm
Yeah.
having everything I say scrutinized and purposely misunderstood, and it's not fun. And I think it's all part and parcel of that. I think it's that, it is incredibly hard for black women still. Yeah.
Mhm. And obviously, within the Green Party, there's a preconception, certainly from the public, that the Green Party is very white and very middle class. Do you think it's a fair perception of the party, and how would you work to change that perception if elected?
Well, I mean, I don't know if this is the right term to use, but proof's in the pudding. I mean, it's literally there in front of our faces. Like sometimes I get really embarrassed sending the join link to people because when they click on it, it's just a bunch of white faces. Do you know what I
Mhm.
mean? So it is we have got a diversity problem, and it is a lot of very white middle class people. Um, I
So you think that perception is a fair one at the moment? Then you think
Of
that
course, it's
accurately?
completely fair.
Mhm.
It's completely accurate. I had to put, I didn't have to, I put a motion through with my fellow EDI officer, Tamara, who's Jewish, and we put a motion through saying that all literature has to include people from the global south in it, because I was trying to find a way in which to break this perception of us being a very white party, and constantly putting out literature that only has white faces
Yeah.
is going to, enforce that. And it was voted through unanimously, thankfully, but it's been hard to keep people doing that. And
Yeah.
I've been accused of criticizing people for not having, you know, black and brown faces and stuff. And it's like I feel like sometimes people miss the point,
Mhm.
that it's not going to be easy. But yeah.
Do you think that the party needs to be doing more to appeal to people from more diverse backgrounds?
Yeah, and we do that by incorporating people, but also more importantly, supporting people
Hmm.
who put themselves forward, supporting the active black members that we have, and I think there's this, I've said this before, there's this constant talk about we need to get more diversity, and it's like, well, you can get more diversity by supporting the diverse people that you have already. And if people can see that diverse candidates and activists are being supported by the party, then they'll be likely to come and join us.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's fair. Um, I want to talk a bit about your upbringing and your personal history. So you were born in Nigeria. Your mother is the Queen Mother of Lagos. Your father a diplomat, and
Yeah.
you went to boarding school in
Just when you
Somerset.
say that, sorry, carry on.
No,
Yeah.
it's fine. I mean, it's true. It's your family.
Yeah.
Your father's a diplomat. You went to a boarding school in Somerset before studying for your masters at the London Film School. Um, with a background
Well,
like
you've
that,
missed a bit. I did do photography in Manchester for my BA.
photography in
I'm quite
Manchester.
proud of the fact that I was in Manchester. So,
Yeah, that
yeah.
wasn't deliberately omitted. That so photography in Manchester as well, and then masters at London Film School. Do you think that with your background and your upbringing, do you think that puts you in a position where you're not able to completely understand the issues facing working class people, or do you think it puts you in a better position to understand them?
I don't know about better or worse. I think I can definitely understand. I think a lot of issues that people face are universal,
Mm-hmm.
and I would hate to say, well, I know what it's like to have nothing. I know what it's like to live in fear of not being able to pay my rent. I know what it's like to go hungry because I can't afford to buy food. I mean, I shouldn't have to sort of use my poverty card, but I know what it's like to have nothing. I also know
Mm-hmm.
what it's like to have everything, but I don't want to say that because I know what it's like to have nothing, therefore I know what it's like to be working class, because that's offensive.
Yeah.
And a lot of working class have very good, happy, secure existences.
Mm-hmm.
I
And
think that
just to, if I may, despite your family history and your upbringing, I mean, you've talked publicly about it in other interviews. You don't have to necessarily go into it right now, but I think it would be fair to say that despite that, you've not necessarily had an easy ride yourself, have you?
not remotely. And what I was going to say was that I think I'm quite clearly part of the Procariat class, which is really great to hear Zach using that term,
Hmm.
which is, a class of people that, 0 hours contracts, no savings, no chance ever of owning a home or even getting on the council house list. You know what I mean? And I think that is the terminology we should be using now. So I think the old ideas of working class, they don't necessarily fit anymore. Working class people have good jobs, they have their own homes, whatever. They don't have 0 hour contracts, you know what I mean? So, but people across the class spectrum
Hmm.
are amongst the precariat class. And I think that as a party is the terminology we should start using more. And I think we also need to be very careful of falling into being classist ourselves and to make sure that we don't exclude people. We are a political party for everyone in this country, and
Hmm.
we shouldn't prioritize one class over another, just as we shouldn't prioritize one minority group over another, and also we shouldn't prioritize one genocide over another. Yeah,
Yeah. No.
I don't know if that's completely gone off
No, no,
piece
no.
there,
It's
but
it's that
yeah.
that's no, that's totally cool. Um,
And also, I want to add as well that this whole idea of, when you say my mother is the Queen Mother of Lagos, I want to stress that it's a traditional title. I'm not going to inherit it. It is
mhm,
chosen in a somewhat democratic manner. And being a Yoruba aristocrat is entirely different from being a European aristocrat, partly due to colonialism and the
mhm,
fact that, God, I don't know if I should say this, probably TMI, but one of my great great paternal uncles was shot in the head because he wouldn't give up his land to the British. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah,
a lot of what we had is no longer ours.
yeah,
And quite I have had from British aristocrats had a lot of growing up as a child, a lot of abuse,
mhm,
because of being a Yoruba aristocrat and them sort of saying, well, that's not true and your father was a slave and all sorts of horrible stuff. So, the prejudice comes in many different shapes and forms, and
mhm,
people need to be very aware of judging people who are completely outside of their lived experience.
mhm. And
Yeah.
you think that?
And
And
also,
I was just going to say, and you touched briefly on the fact there that there's a difference between, you know, how those of us in the West in the UK may perceive, somebody with a title like Queen Mother, for example. You
mm,
immediately think Buckingham Palace. You think of you think of these huge feasts and lavish
yeah,
lavish meals with
not
the
remotely like
world
that.
leaders on your doorstep, and it's not like that at all.
No, I mean the current Oba of Lagos, the current King of Lagos, used to be a policeman.
Hmm.
Do you know what I mean? So we're not coming from generational wealth, right? I think you'll find in Nigeria those with generational wealth tend to be in government and people who have exploited the country by enabling people in the global north to exploit us and
Hmm.
sell things off and embezzle money, but not traditional leaders.
If you are elected in this position, and I'll talk about this a bit more in a moment, but it'll be one of two things: you'll either be elected on your own under a leadership of Adrian and Ellie, or you'll be on a joint ticket with another candidate under Zach's leadership. Either way, as a deputy leader of a large and ever growing political party, you are going to face increased scrutiny from the media. Um, how will you cope with that, and how will you prevent um, increased scrutiny in that way from becoming a distraction, preventing you from getting on with the job of deputy leading?
I say bring it on. I think our party needs more media attention, and I think that I think that if I do attract more media attention, that would be a good thing for the party. Um,
Mhm.
I'm well equipped to deal with it. I'm not a stranger to that. I've had media attention from my family and various things, so that's not a problem for me. I don't think that there is anything the media is going to dig up on me that will be a distraction, for starters. So I'm not worried about that. And I think that I am capable of presenting myself in a way that isn't going to be inflammatory or incite anything crazy. You know what I mean? And I think that from my experience so far, that I haven't received, I know, having had interviews, whatever, with Glitch, meetings with Glitch, I haven't had as much abuse as many other black women have had who have put themselves above the parapet. So for some reason, touch wood, hope I don't jinx it, I've been okay, and I don't attract negative energy towards me in that way. I don't know why
Yeah.
that is, but yeah, so I hope that will continue. And if it doesn't, then I'll handle it,
Yeah, no, that's great. Obviously, I've touched on it before. Zach Polanski's standing on a ticket on his own. Ellie Trans and Adrian Ramsey are running on a joint ticket. So it's unclear at the moment whether we'll have two deputy leaders or one. If we end up in a situation where Zach Polanski were to win and you were elected as deputy alongside another candidate, how do you plan on working successfully together with that other candidate, despite any ideological or policy differences that you may have?
Oh, that's an interesting question, actually. Well,
And,
I think
and if
we're going to have to hang out. We're going to have to hang out and have a chat
yeah,
and get to know each other and decide together as a team, work together as a team, and decide, you know, how we want to progress and what our strengths are and our weaknesses and things that maybe that person doesn't want to have to do. And I'm like, well, actually, I don't mind doing that. And just working together. I think it'll be really exciting. I think it's exactly what the Green Party is about, like working together as a team, listening to people, understanding, helping. Yeah, I think it will be great. And
uh,
obviously, well, yeah, sorry,
well, I
Karen.
was going to say, and as an extension to that question, Charlotte's asked on TikTok if you're elected as deputy to a leader or leaders who may have differing views to you, how would you work around those differences with the leader?
I mean, I see the deputy leader role as being supportive of the leader, right? And as long as the leader is advocating for Green Party policy as voted in by our members, and I think that all leaders should be mandated by that, then I won't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
If they start to say things that go against Green Party policy, then I'll have a problem and I'll call them out. Do you know what I mean? Because irrespective of whatever your personal feelings are, our policies are like a whip. For me, they act as a whip for me. And that is what I will always advocate for as a representative of the Green Party.
Yeah, perfect. Leo's asked on TikTok, in an age where online communication is so integral, what is your aim for social media campaigns and how would you achieve them?
I think social media is so important, and I think we should absolutely try and incorporate that more into a whole target to win and everything. I love Instagram. I'm on Instagram probably way more than I should be. So I would definitely
I'm
want the
like that with
party to do
TikTok.
more. Are you? I've only just started TikTok, and then I just had a video that had like over 170,000 views. So I was like, whoa, okay. But I think that the party should definitely utilize that. Definitely use paid advertising and so on. And I think it reaches so many more people than we would normally reach as well,
Yeah.
and especially the younger people too. And I think that's really important.
And do you think the party is doing enough at the moment in terms of external comms with regards to social media strategy?
Not remotely, not
No.
remotely. And I think that, that should be something that people take into consideration when they vote for deputy leaders. They need to vote for people who are going to come across well on social media, who can connect with people, because that's what a deputy leader needs to be doing, right? They
Yeah.
need to be growing the base of our party, not just with members, but voters as well. And we can do that by utilizing social media well.
Yeah, I mean, Zach obviously is the current deputy leader. He's spent a lot of time sort of travelling around the country, meeting people in local Green parties and different communities up and down the country, as well as making numerous media appearances, whether it be on the mainstream channels, whether it be on organisations like ours at Turn Left. Those media appearances and also in person meeting with real people up and down the country. Are those things that you'd like to sort of replicate if you get
Absolutely.
elected?
Absolutely. I think in one of the first videos I put out announcing that I wanted to run for deputy leader, that's what I said. I said, one of the things I'm really excited about is being able to go around the country and visit all the local parties. And I really like the idea as well, maybe attracting some media attention to all the wonderful things that local parties are doing. There's a party called, I'm going to pronounce it incorrectly, Telford and Wrekin. Telford and Wrekin local party, and
Hmm.
they're really active on Instagram, and they put this weekly good news newsletter thing, which I love, you know, and it just globally all the good things that people are doing
Yeah.
to help the environment or whatever, and I just love that, you know what I mean? And I just think our local parties deserve more attention, and a lot more support, as well.
Hmm.
Yeah.
On the travelling point, within the Green Party, there's also, we talked earlier about perception. There's also a very sort of south-heavy perception of the party. We've got
Mm.
MPs that are elected in the south. Target seats in the past have often been in the south. How would you use your position as deputy leader to give more of a voice to the north?
By travelling up there, by spending time with local parties and supporting them, and also not just supporting, but supporting by going into communities with them and talking to people in
Hmm.
the communities and drawing attention to them. Just because I'm based in the south doesn't mean I can't do a lot for people up in the north. Do
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
And you've obviously spent
And
some time in Manchester doing your photography up there
yeah,
as well.
yeah, several years in Manchester,
Yeah.
lots of fond memories. Um, So yeah, I mean, I don't think that should be an issue. I don't think people should be swayed by where a candidate is based. I think
Yeah.
it's more about what a candidate is willing to do for everyone in the country. Yeah.
Hmm. I was
And also,
asking.
let's just remember as well, that we don't have a London-based MP. And I do believe that deputy leadership is a good way in which to get people into becoming voted into becoming MPs. So
Hmm.
if I were to become a deputy leader, then that would be really, it would improve my chances of becoming elected again for Hackney North and Stoke Newington, and us becoming and having a London-based MP, which I think is important as
Yeah.
well. Yeah.
No, very, very true. Back in April, current co-leader Adrian Ramsey, who again is standing for election this time with Ellie, he took to Twitter to say that, like the BNP and UKIP, Reform UK will disappear once voters realise what they really stand for. Do you agree with him?
I'd like to, but I don't think that's true. I think that we've seen their soaring popularity, and I think we can easily draw comparisons to parties in Germany in the 1930s, right? And everyone thought they were a joke, and then 10 years later, it was Kristallnacht. So I think we need to be
Hmm.
very, very careful about dismissing reform. I think they've proven that people are taking to them, and what we need to do is combat that by being a better option, a better non-establishment option than reform are, and yes, highlighting just how toxic their policies are and how much damage
Hmm.
they are doing already and will do. Yeah, we need to take it. I think we need to take it seriously. Yeah.
Electric Fairy on TikTok has asked, given that right-wing
Cool
parties,
name.
it's a
Sorry.
cool name, isn't it? Given that right-wing parties like to use English culture and Englishness, quote unquote, to justify their racism and xenophobia, how can we find a new way to engage with English culture and our cultural heritage while still condemning racism and xenophobia and any other harmful beliefs?
I think that we need to, firstly, I think it's really important that we educate people about the realities of British history,
Hmm.
especially with regards to transatlantic slave trade of African people and British Empire and colonialism and the damage it has inflicted on the global South and continuing to do so. And
Hmm.
that is resulting in why we have people, migrants, needing to come to this country because of the actions of our country.
Yeah.
And then also, I think that we need to not be ashamed of being proud of British culture. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Hmm. So, how
we
would
are this,
you?
but let me finish. We are this like wonderful, quirky country, with wonderful, quirky sort of folk tales and stuff, and we should indulge that, encourage it. It's a beautiful
Mhm.
thing, you know.
I was going to ask how you would weigh up the two things then, because some people would say that because of the some of the horrific things that Britain has done historically, particularly in regards to some of the things that you mentioned, with the slave trade
Mm.
and colonization, etc. That it's some people would say it's difficult to be proud of our heritage. So well, I suppose what things are you proud of in terms of British heritage, and what things do you think we need to sort of maybe highlight more, whilst also keeping that education to some of the horrors? What are the things that we can highlight and be proud of?
Okay, two things can be true, right? There is a lot of horrific and horrible things in British history, but there's also some wonderful and amazing things. And obviously, being a creative, I'm going to highlight the arts, music. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
films, Derek Jarman. I mean, and music industry. We have we have the best music in the West. I think more so than America. We've done amazing things in the arts. And culturally, we've got, going to sound so nerdy now, but we've got amazing castles and amazing landscape, and again, our folklore's
Yeah.
amazing. I don't want to include the Irish in this, but obviously Irish and Scots have amazing folk tales, and I'm really into science fiction and fantasy, so I'm all about fairies. I did a road trip to Ireland to look for fairies. Do you know what I mean? Like there's so much magic and wonder in this country that should not be overlooked.
Yeah.
Pubs. Oh my God, pubs are amazing.
Pubs,
All sorts of beautiful
great British
things.
pubs. There was
And our canals and our rivers and our seafaring traditions and yeah.
there was a brilliant conversation on LBC recently about the death of the Great British Pub, and it made me sad how many people were calling in saying, "Oh no, the Great British Pub is very much alive," and then they would talk about all the trips to Weatherspoons, and I
Oh
couldn't
gosh.
help
Oh,
but
can I
think
gonna
like,
interrupt you there? I'm gonna interrupt because was it with the WI? It might have been with WI. We did a tour recently, like last month I think it was, of closed pubs in Hackney
mhm,
and going to all these places where the pubs have been torn down and private flats have been put up, or someone's turned a pub into their house, and it was quite sad, actually
yeah.
to see all the pubs that have been destroyed. So yes,
Yeah,
I
I
do
think I
think
think
that.
when we talk about the Great British Pub, I think we think of those sort of small, sort of old, sort of thatched roof Tudor type buildings. The family-run
Yeah.
pubs that have existed for hundreds of years.
Or the
Um,
pubs that had like Thai restaurants upstairs for some reason. That was a really
yeah,
good
those
phenomenon.
ones
I
as well.
missed that. Yeah.
Um,
But also, sorry to interrupt again,
no, it's fine.
National Trust. I'm a big fan of the National Trust. I did some volunteering for them. And I think that, again,
Mhm.
preserving these big, beautiful homes and the history, a lot of which is complicated and tied to colonialism and slavery, but it's still giving everyone a chance to enjoy the gardens and the lands and the homes.
Yeah,
There's so much. There's so much. I'm going to stop, but yeah.
no, it's fine. Mick Coffee 2 on Twitter has asked, do you see the green agenda as essentially a socialist project or a purely ecological one?
Oh, I think it's both. I think it's obviously both, right?
Mhm.
Everything is intersectional. So, and I think we've been very clear about that too. Yeah.
Mhm. Do you think the messaging from the party is clear about that? And the reason I ask that, and it ties nicely into my next question, actually, which is there's lots of talk at the moment about a potential new party on the left that rumours say would be potentially led by Jeremy Corbyn and Zara Sultana. And
Is
we've
that still
seen.
a rumor? But anyway, yeah.
Well, I mean, I'd say it's still a rumor until they actually announce anything, anyway.
Uh,
But some recent polling has shown that um, if this party is and were to come about into existence, that not only would they be would this as of yet unrealised party be sort of neck and neck with the Labour Party, it's also shown that the Greens would lose a significant amount of their vote share as well. So, do you think, just going back to that earlier question where you said that you think we're being clear about the fact that we're a socialist and an ecological party, um, do you think the messaging is clear? And if so, why do you think it is that there are so many people in the UK right now who are looking for something different on the left, and they don't feel that the Green Party is the party that's offering that?
okay, so I think we have been clear. I think Zach has been very clear. And I think that when it comes to making sure that we don't lose votes to another socialist party, we need to be very, very careful about who we decide to vote in as our leader,
Hmm.
because I want to remain as neutral as possible here, but there is one side that is definitely going to prepare us better to be challenged by a new socialist party than the other side. And I think that we do need to make sure that we utilize media
Hmm.
so that people understand what we're about. And I think the major issue that we have as a party is that people don't know what we stand for. They think we're just about the environment. They don't understand what we're about. So we
Yeah.
need to make sure that we embrace that, right? Through the deputy leaders that we choose, but also through the leader and how, yeah, it's all about perception. It's all about how we engage the media. And if we do that, then people will know, and we shouldn't be threatened at all by a new socialist party in any way, shape, or form. When people really understand what it is that we stand for, what we have been doing, and what we have been saying continuously, very loudly for a very long time.
The Casual Talk has asked, can you ask the candidates how would they deal with the housing crisis? They've said, I personally feel that having a home should be a human right and not something that you can make money from. And we should still pay for homes, but only for that money to be used to pay for more homes. And to further add to this, it's a bit of a long one. To further add to this, would they ban Airbnbs or second homes and homes owned by people who live outside the country most of the year?
Okay, so I absolutely agree that a home is a basic human right, and we have no business commodifying it. And I would like to do everything within my power to disincentivize people investing in homes because I think that's appalling. Um, I think in Hackney in particular, I very much like to ensure that all new developments are just purely council homes, right? For starters,
Mhm.
I think that people should only have to pay for the upkeep of their homes. I don't think they should have to pay for new homes to be built. I think that we need to utilise all the many properties that we have that are being used as second homes, that are being land banked, that are empty. And I think, therefore, I think people should pay the basic minimum for the upkeep of their home, and that's it. When it comes to banning Airbnbs, I think we need to be really careful about that. I personally cannot stand Airbnbs, um,
Yeah.
but I know, but I think we need to just make sure it's regulated better and fairly.
Another question from Twitter. This is from Neon Blooper. So would you consider running for Parliament if elected, or even if you're unsuccessful on being elected?
Yes, absolutely. I've been very, very clear about the fact that I want to run again for Hackney North and Stoke Newington, especially because it looks like Diane probably won't be running again. And I think it's really important that we continue the legacy of having a black woman, because it was the first ever seat won by a black woman, and
Yeah.
Diane's had it for it will be 40 years next year, 2007. So I think it's really important to continue that legacy, and especially for us as the Green Party, with the image that we have, to be promoting as many female candidates and, of course, black female candidates. I think that's super important. So I hope everyone in Hackney gets behind that.
Well, Antoinette, thank you so much. It's been a delight. Just before you go, if anyone's watching and they want to vote for you, or maybe they just want to know a little bit more about you, read some more about who you are and what you're offering, how do people find you?
Instagram and TikTok, both at Green Party Antoinette. Instagram, oh, I can't remember what my blue sky is, but then also there's also email. I've got a website, antoinettefernandez.co.uk. Yeah, and you can reach me via email, antoinette@hackney.greenparty.org.uk.
Wonderful. Well,
But
Antoinette,
definitely Instagram, Green Party Antoinette on Instagram is a good one.
Instagram's a good place to get you. Thank you so much. It's honestly been fantastic, and thanks again
Thank
for
you.
giving up your time today to talk to us. We really do
Not at
appreciate
all.
it. All the best with the campaign, and as they say, break a leg.
Thank you.
See you later. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.